I'm Catherine Robinson.
And I'm Frank Coletta. Welcome to 10's Early News.
Making headlines today, the Prime Minister touches down in Japan for a 5-day visit, rejecting claims relations have taken a hit over whaling. John Howard among the Australians honoured in this year's Queen's birthday list. 7 people killed during a man's stabbing rampage in downtown Tokyo. And in sport, the King of Clay writes his name into the record books. A look at the national weather details now for the day ahead, and showers for most capital cities on the east coast, rain developing in Melbourne, sunny in Hobart, thunderstorms in Perth. Now, for our first check of the markets, here's Frank, a pretty quiet one today.
Certainly will be. Thanks, Kath. We'll take a look at the week ahead then, and Wall Street may be in for a rocky ride on the back of record oil prices, a worrying unemployment report, and the market's 3% drop last week. All the early optimism was wiped off the Dow by Friday, falling 394 points. The Nasdaq was down 75. Drops across Europe too. The FTSE lost 88, the CAC and DAX in triple figures, they're down. Defying the trend was Asia. The Nikkei hit a 5-month closing high as exporters gained on a stronger dollar. A similar increase in Hong Kong, it was up 146. All the talk has been oil, and it's pushed to record levels over the weekend, settling at $138.51 US a barrel. Gold at 901.35 US an ounce. A strong dollar gets you 96 US cents, 125 New Zealand and 60 euro cents. Our market returns to action tomorrow on the back of a 57-point rebound. Coming up, a preview of where the market could head when it reopens, Kath.
OK, thanks, Frank. Prime Minister Kevin Rudd has arrived in Japan for a 5-day fence-mending visit. This morning, he'll pay his respects at the Hiroshima Peace Park in memory of the thousands killed by the World War II atomic bomb blast.
Kevin Rudd is the first Australian Prime Minister to visit the city nuclear bombed by the Americans to end the war in the Pacific. After a rocky start with our biggest export market and long-time Asian partner, Mr Rudd is keen to restore good relations, though he denies any harm's been done by visiting China first.
Is this a trip you should have made 3 months ago?
Look, the relationship with Japan is in first-class working order.
Besides his closeness to China, it was these Australian government pictures of Japanese whalers caught in action and published worldwide that particularly upset Tokyo. We are now treading more softly, backing off talk of action in the international courts.
Our position on the importance of protecting whales has not changed, but let's give diplomacy a go for the period ahead.
Kevin Rudd has deliberately scheduled 1 extra day in Japan than he spent in China earlier. And by visiting Hiroshima and the ancient capital of Kyoto, he wants to send the message that he respects Japan's history and culture.
Later today, Mr Rudd will urge climate change cooperation in Kyoto, venue of the Global Warming Protocol to combat greenhouse gases. In Hiroshima, Paul Bongiorno, 10 News.
And the Prime Minister has vowed to share his concerns about the price of oil with other leaders of industrialised nations. He says Australia faces a huge problem when it comes to the cost of petrol and has laid responsibility at the foot of oil producers.
OPEC need to open the production lines to a greater extent, increase global oil supply.
Market speculation has also been blamed for the inflated price of world oil. Former Prime Minister John Howard is one of dozens of Australians honoured in the Queen's birthday list. Mr Howard was made a companion in the General Division of the Order of Australia for distinguished parliamentary service. Others recognised in the annual awards were trade union leader Bill Kelty and financial guru Paul Clitheroe.
I think it probably tells you that some of the stuff you've been doing actually has value, and that's greatly appreciated.
Former WA Premier Jeff Gallop won the top award for his efforts in developing the state. More than 130 Australian soldiers have finally touched down in Brisbane this morning after a stray bird delayed their flight from Darwin. The diggers are returning from a 6-month deployment in Iraq.
It's hard to imagine a warmer welcome. The 130 Brisbane-based troops were due to touch down yesterday, but instead arrived at 2 a.m. this morning after a stray bird grounded their flight from Darwin.
Mate, it's a great feeling to come home and to see my family again. It's the best feeling I've had.
The troops from the combat team Healer of the Overwatch Battle Group West were involved in security operations in southern Iraq and reconstruction efforts, but one mate is still to arrive home.
One of the team's still missing, Private Liam Haven. From what we understand, he's recovering well in Perth, and hopefully we'll be able to make it for the parade later on this month.
A welcome home parade will be held later this month in Brisbane to honour their efforts.
The job's done. The job's over. The Iraqi security forces started to step up to the plate in southern Iraq around about a year ago now. They are now confident and competent.
Anthony Donaghy, 10 News.
A toddler is fighting for life after being crushed by a car driven by a 15-year-old in Melbourne. Suffering serious head and internal injuries, the 4-year-old boy was airlifted to the Royal Children's Hospital late yesterday. Police say the teenager was being taught to drive by his father when he lost control and collided with the young boy. 7 people have been killed and 10 more injured in a stabbing spree in Tokyo. A man rammed a truck into a crowd of shoppers before jumping out and stabbing the people he'd knocked down. He then turned the knife on bystanders. The 25-year-old was arrested a short time later. He apparently told police he'd come to the busy shopping district to kill, and it didn't matter who. A strong earthquake has rocked southwestern Greece, killing 2 people. The quake, measuring 6.5 on the Richter scale, struck near the western city of Patras. At least 50 people have been injured. US presidential candidate Barack Obama says he's thrilled and honoured to have Hillary Clinton's support. The senator has ended her bid for the White House and officially endorsed Barack Obama. Clinton has now urged her supporters to unite behind the Democratic nominee. Obama hasn't ruled out Clinton as a possible vice presidential running mate. Fire has caused extensive damage to the historic governor's mansion in Texas. The blaze broke out in the middle of the night and took more than 100 firefighters to bring under control. No one was inside the 152-year-old building at the time. The blaze is believed to have been deliberately lit. Rafael Nadal has equalled the great Bjorn Borg's record of 4 consecutive French Open titles after defeating Roger Federer in the final. The Spaniard dismantling the world's best in straight sets.
As the French Air Force painted the sky above Roland Garros, beneath them Rafael Nadal began work on his clay masterpiece. Taking on the world's best for the 3rd successive time in the Paris final, the Spaniard made it look easy.
That's too good.
Nadal blitzed through the opening set 6-1 in 32 minutes before Federer finally found some form.
Well, that's what it takes. Just an unbelievable angle. I thought
the Swiss master broke back to square the second set. And he appeared to be getting back into the match.
Well done.
But Nadal quickly extinguished Federer's fire.
Well, that's quick.
The world number 2 combined deft touch.
Stop it.
With a barrage of heavy hitting to wipe his opponent off the court and set up an historic 4th consecutive French Open title.
It's long.
Andrew Brown, 10 News.
Darren Lockyer will miss State of Origin 2 after withdrawing due to his ongoing knee injury. In his place, Gold Coast Titan Scott Prince. Lockyer confident in the Thurston-Prince combination.
Yeah, they both realise what's at stake. They're both experienced enough players to know what's important, so I'm sure that they'll work together well.
Thurston will move to 5/8 to accommodate Prince at halfback. Spain's Dani Pedrosa has won his home MotoGP in Barcelona. After starting alongside Aussie Casey Stoner on the front row of the grid, Pedrosa took an early lead and at one stage led the field by more than 8 seconds.
2 wins in Spain this year. Dani Pedrosa is the man.
After a gripping battle throughout the race, championship leader Valentino Rossi finished second, just ahead of Stoner. Finance now with Frank, and it's set to be an anxious week on our market.
Looks that way, yes, Kath. It could be a bumpy ride. Today's public holiday at least gives our markets a chance to watch the reaction to Friday's plunge in the US. But it's going to be a rough week. Wall Street went into overdrive Friday when oil climbed above $139 a barrel for the first time. Then the news that American unemployment had risen to 5.5%, sending the Dow Jones into freefall, dropping nearly 400 points in the end, the biggest loss in more than a year. That's set up for what some analysts predict could be one of the roughest weeks ever for the Australian market. The market value of the Macquarie Group's big Australian-listed investment funds has fallen nearly $1 billion. The Sydney Morning Herald reports the value of the funds fell $750 million last financial year and another $150 million since then. But the Macquarie Investment Trusts still have a market value of $2.4 billion.
To the weather details for this holiday Monday. A possible shower in Brisbane, 22. Wet in Sydney, 18 the top. Rain developing in Melbourne, 15. Adelaide, the coldest capital, 14, and it'll be wet there. Thunderstorms in Perth, 18 degrees. Time to look at the newspaper front pages now. The Australian has more on Kevin Rudd upping the pressure on oil companies to increase production as petrol prices continue to surge.
The Herald's Business Day reports local traders are preparing for a massive dip on global financial markets.
And the Sydney Morning Herald says New South Wales Education Minister John Delabosca's been asked to explain his behaviour at a Central Coast nightclub on Friday night. One killed in a ute crash in New South Wales. We'll have the details when 10's early news returns.
All eyes turn to the MCG today for a massive Queen's Birthday Bash. Can Melbourne celebrate their 150th year in style, or will the Magpies spoil the party? Melbourne Collingwood live 2 o'clock today on 10.
Buy direct and save at Babyco. Made in Australia package deal.
Babyco Regent cot with tailor-made cot mattress and matching change table.
Only $789. Famous Swallow Beamer prams from $297.
With half-price bassinet, only $69.95. Child car safety seats and boosters.
All at drive-away prices. Who loves your baby?
Babyco loves your baby.
Feeling good with Nestle.
I love the rich taste of my Nescafe, but I'm always looking for balance in my life. Doctor, what's the great news for us coffee lovers?
What we now know, Liz, is that coffee provides us with an excellent natural source of antioxidants.
Now, these help keep our bodies healthy, rushing around, fighting all the nasties.
Yeah, that's true, Liz. But like anything, coffee in moderation is the key.
Nescafe from Nestle. I'm feeling really good about that.
Having clear skin is the key to confidence. That's the first thing people see when they look at you. It has been about 6 years since my first application of Proactive. I had bad acne and everyone could see it. And I would be nervous to talk to people because I felt like that's all they were looking at. Using Proactive consistently helps me to keep my skin clear. I know that when I wake up the next morning, my skin's gonna be fresh and it's gonna be clean, and that's why I use Proactive.
Why not start your day with the confidence of beautiful, healthy skin with Proactive Solution, the #1 best-selling acne treatment in America. Proactive helps treat acne and prevent future breakouts, so you can wake up to clearer, beautiful skin every day.
Where weren't the breakouts on my face? They were everywhere, but after Proactive, my skin is clear and smooth and a nice thing to look at.
Call now and save 45% off the individual product prices. Just 2 payments of $29.95.
It was hard to see myself on the podium and then realize I've got acne. I found Proactive and I'm not self-conscious anymore.
Pay by credit card, and not only will you get the refining mask that absorbs oil, plus the booklet Face the Facts, you'll also receive this stylish cosmetic bag. These gifts are yours free from Proactive, but hurry, only available for a limited time.
Fortunately now with Proactive, I feel confident. I like being able to go out and not wear any makeup. I really like what it's done for my skin very much.
Plus, when you order, you'll also receive automatic shipments of Proactive every 60 days for just $29.95 per month. No minimum to buy, cancel anytime. So why wait? Proactive even comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Call 1300 556 996 or order online at proactive.com.au.
Help say goodbye to your acne with Proactive. You'll see.
It's the night all the housemates dread. Their hearts start racing, their palms start sweating, and they turn against each other. Nominations night, 7 o'clock tonight.
You're watching 10's Early News. Making headlines today, Kevin Rudd arrives in Japan, confident relations haven't been damaged by whaling and his closeness to China. Australian soldiers finally touched down in Brisbane after being grounded in Darwin. John Howard heads this year's Queen's Birthday Honours List. And in sport, even the best drivers in the world need to stop at red lights. Don't they, Frank?
Apparently so.